Welcome, everyone. This is the Wigan by Yahuwah Fellowship group. I'm Brother Doug. This is our sister Shoshana, Sister Sadie to my right, and under us we got Brother Dennis and Sister Sally. So we are going to be continuing our Genesis Torah study, our weekly Sabbath study today, and we will also be reading Job, Iyub after. So we're going to do one chapter of Bereshith and one chapter of Iyub. So let's start off here. We're going to start at Genesis 25. I think I'll be reading from the Septuagint here just to make it easy here. I already have it on my eSword. All right, so here we go. And Abraham, again, took a wife whose name was Keturah. So here we go here. We have Abraham taking a wife after his previous wife passed away. That's a key thing to remember here, especially when after this chapter we can look at cross-references like Jeremiah 3, I believe, or Jeremiah 4 it is, where it talks about the law of marriage, okay, when Paul talks about it in the book of Romans. So it's very key to understand that the last chapter we read from last Shabbat, Sarah passed away. So let's keep that in context. And she bore to him Zumran and Yazan and Madal and Madian. And I think this is Midian, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check here. Yeah.
Midian, yeah.
Yeah, Midian. So this is where we get Midian from. So it's very interesting. And Yazbak and Soi. And Yazan begot Saba and Dedan, which of course is we're also familiar with once you get to the travels in the book of Numbers and later on in the Torah. You'll see these people, the names of these people become names of regions and places. So it's very interesting. So Saba and Dedan, the sons of Dedan were the Ashurians, which I guess you can get the word Ashur from. So they're possibly the founders of Assyria, the land. And the Latusians and the Laomim. So very interesting here. We got all the descendants of Keturah here. And the sons of Midian and Gafar and Aphir and Hanuk. Got another Hanuk here. Interesting. So, and obviously this Hanuk is way after the one that the book of Enoch talks about. So the different guy. The same name though. Abilda, Al-Daga, all these were sons of Keturah. But Abraham gave all his possessions to Isaac, his son. Now that's pretty key there. Okay, so all of his possessions he gave to Isaac. But to the sons of his concubines, this is what I was talking about off the record earlier with our group. Yeah, so he also gave possessions though to his sons of his concubines. But the sons of his concubines, Abraham gave gifts. And he sent them away from his son Isaac while he was yet living to the east in the country of the east. Now, this is very interesting that he sent them away. I guess there was he was worried that they would have some type of contention with Isaac maybe. And he was just trying to keep the peace between them maybe.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Because it seems like, you know, he was just trying to not have them have rivalry against one another. And already there was problems between Sarah and, you know, Hagar. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying to prevent any contentions there.
Mm-hmm.
And these were the years of the days of the life of Abraham, as many as he lived, in 175 years. Wow. So actually, this shows you if you're really obedient, you can beat the 120 years. Yahuwah will allow you to live past 120 years. I know some people take Genesis 6 to mean that no one was going to live past 120 years after the flood. I disagree. If you actually look at the Aramaic Targum, it gives you a little bit added information in the Aramaic Targum version of Genesis. I think it's 7, actually, where it talks about why he gave 120 years to those people at that time. That's the amount of years he gave them to repent. It's not that the new expectancy was to be 120 years. So I think a lot of people misunderstand that. They kind of take that as a new life expectancy that no one can go past 120, because as you see here, Abraham lived about 50 years past that. Actually 55 to be exact. So,
but he was still during the time the ages were, the longevity was coming down. He was still in that descendant from those before the flood that lived a long time, like 10 times more than we would. So it came down gradually. You know, Yahweh wasn't going to just cut him off like that. He graduated. And since Abraham was righteous, that gave him extra years too.
Yep. He gave him 55 extra years, which is a lot. That's amazing that he lived that long. And you'll see later on, as we get to the writings of David later on this year, it actually dropped drastically as you get to the time of the problems between the house of Yashraal and the house of Yehuda. Around that time period, there was a lot of sin going on, and David says in the book of Psalms that 80 years by strength in certain versions. So around that time period, it started really dropping. It started getting really bad around that time, and when King Solomon took over and all that, so it started. It also depends the amount of sin, in my opinion, too. Around that time, generally, if sin keeps increasing, Yahuwah is going to take away our expectancy too. So you gotta be careful.
And there's also the commandment that says if you honor your father and mother, you will live long in the land. Well, there's the opposite. If you do not honor your father and mother, you will not live long in the land.
Yeah, it's pretty much, the baraka or curse, like it says in Deuteronomy, I think it's 28, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the one.
Yeah, so it's kind of like conditional. It's kind of like, okay, you take your pick. Either you're going to be Baruch or you're going to be cursed. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much not a hard decision, really. And Isaac and Ishmael, his sons, buried him in the double cave. So this is interesting. So Ishmael's still with Isaac, and they're actually together burying Abraham in the field of Ephron, the son of Sahar, the Hittite, which is over against Mamre. Even the field and cave which Abraham bought of the sons of Het. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after Abraham was dead that Elohim Baruch Isaac his son, and Isaac dwelt in the well of the vision. Now, for anyone that's a little confused why it's saying the vision instead of the transliteration Leroy here from the Masorite text, the Septuagint a lot of the times, it won't transliterate words. It actually gives you the definition instead of the transliteration. So according to the Septuagint, that Hebrew word Leroy means vision. So that's why it says they dwelt by the well of the vision. So just explain that a little bit. It might be a little confusing if you don't know much about the Septuagint. So, and verse 12 says, and these are the generations of Ishmael, the son of Abraham, who Hagar the Egyptian, the handmaid of Sarah, bore to Abraham. So, and then it gives the sons of Hagar here. Or no, my bad. The sons of Ishmael, the son of Hagar, my bad. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, according to the names of their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nabaioth, which is another place we see later on in Scripture. Also Kedar, another place. Nabdiel, I guess that would be Nabda'al, and Masam, and Mazma, and Duma, and Maseh, or Masa, and Chodan, and Teman, and Yatur, Nafiz, and Kadma, These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names in their tents, in their dwellings. 12 princes according to their nations. Now that's kind of interesting, kind of like a little parallel there. So Ishmael had 12 sons, and so did and then Jacob had, he brought forth the 12 tribes of Yasharal. So it's kind of like I see an interesting paradigm there. So Ishmael has 12. He had 12 princes according to their nations. So it's interesting. These are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. Wow. And he failed and died and was added to his fathers. I mean, he couldn't have been that wicked. He must have had some type of walk with Yahuwah if he's living to 137. And yeah. He must, So maybe there's something in the extra biblical books we could find. Maybe Jasher talks about him somewhat, that Abraham taught him about Yahuwah and about the Torah, maybe.
I'm sure he did. Abraham was his father.
Can I have a clarification real quick? Mm-hmm. Did you say that Isaac had 12 sons and Ishmael had 12 sons?
Oh, yeah. I meant to say Jacob. I saw an interesting paradigm where Jacob has the 12 sons of the 12 tribes, and how Ishmael has 12 sons. So I kind of found it interesting. I meant to say Jacob. Kind of messed up a little bit.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you called me out on that. I didn't want that to get messed up on the study, so I'm glad you asked me about that again.
They'd be Isaac's 12 grandsons.
Yeah. Isaac had 12 grandsons, not sons. But yes.
Then again, that's another clarification for anybody who's new, is that Jacob becomes Isaac, right?
Well, no, he becomes Yasharal. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now
Isaac was actually basically before that. Yeah, I messed up. Isaac's before Jacob and 12 tribes. Isaac is before him. He actually, Jacob would have been a descendant of Isaac and Abraham.
Just remember Abraham, Isaac,
then Jacob. Yeah, I messed up. That's my bad.
That's okay.
Yeah. So Isaac and Ishmael were brothers. They were the two sons of Abraham, and then you had later on, Jacob and Esau, which we're about to get to actually in this chapter. So after this part, we're going to get to the whole rivalry with Esau and Jacob soon in this chapter. So we're at, I think, verse 16 here. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are the names of their tents and dwellings, 12 princes according to their nations. And it says, these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. So yeah, he definitely was righteous. And he failed and died and was added to his fathers and dwelt from Evilat, I wonder if that's Havilah, to Sur, which is opposite Egypt. That's interesting. Until this is almost like prophecy in the way the Septuagint puts it. Until one comes to the Assyrians, he dwelt in the presence of all his brothers. So the Masoretic text will just say Assyria. The Septuagint says the Assyrians. That's interesting.
Mine says as you go toward Asher.
Yeah, Asher is the Hebrew for the land of Assyria. And also the person Asher, which later on somehow Nimrod takes that identity. I don't know how. But when you get into the prophets, there's this prophecy in Micah chapter, I think it's chapter 5 or chapter 7, that talks about the Assyrian and talks about how in the land of Nimrod he'll be cut off by Yahusha. So it's kind of interesting. So here we go. We're at the part of the birth of Esau and Jacob. And these are the generations of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took to wife Rebekah. Smart man. Wait until you're mature, bud. That's a smart thing he did. Daughter of Bethuel the Syrian. Really? He married a Syrian. That's kind of interesting. He took to wife Rebecca, daughter of Bethuel the Syrian. So a daughter of a Syrian. It's interesting. Out of Syrian Mesopotamia. Wow. Okay. So she came from, well, yeah, that's where he came from. That's where his dad came from. Yeah, Babylon, Mesopotamia. So sister of Laban the Syrian. So that's kind of interesting. The Septuagint calls them Syrians. That's kind of interesting.
They were direct descendants of the same family that
Abraham.
Abraham's family. Yeah. So they were good people. I mean, they were the ones that he was told that he should marry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's why the servant went off to find him a wife.
Yep. And Abraham was like, all right, if she doesn't come with you, then you're released from the oath. You're released from the covenant I made with you. But he didn't want him to return Isaac to where Abraham was. So he wanted to make sure that, Isaac found a wife.
Who came to him.
That came to him, yeah. It says, and Isaac prayed to Yahuwah concerning Rebekah, his wife, because she was barren. So this is interesting. Isaac is interceding for his wife. That's something you don't see too much in Scripture. The husband actually praying to Yahuwah that he would open his wife's womb. That's really nice. And Yahuwah heard him, and his wife Rebekah conceived in her womb. And the babies leaped within her, and she said, if it will be so with me, why is this to me? And she went to inquire by Yahuwah. Interesting. So she's kind of worried because she's got two babies. The babies leaped within her, so she's wondering why that's going on. What's going on in her womb? And Yahuwah said to her, there are two nations in your womb, and two people shall be separated from your belly, and one people shall excel the other, and the elder shall serve the younger, which, if you understand in Hebraic culture, that's kind of like upside down. Usually the younger serves the elder. So this is kind of like an interesting paradigm shift. You have the elder serving the younger. And it says, and the days were fulfilled that she should be delivered and had twins in her womb. And the first came out red, hairy, and all over like a skin. And she called his name Esau. And after this came forth his brother, and his hand took hold of the heel of Esau, and she called his name Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah bore them. Wow. That's an old dad. And the lads grew, and Esau was a man skilled in hunting, dwelling in the country. And Jacob, a simple man. I like the Septuagint as a simple man dwelling in the house. Yeah, he's my type of guy, Jacob. Yeah, just chilling out. Don't try to get yourself killed trying to hunt someone. Yeah. And Isaac loved Esau because his venison was his food, but Rebekah loved Jacob. That's kind of interesting. So we got some favoritism going on here. Here we go. This is part of the problem why she tells, we're about to see what she's going to tell Esau to do. And Jacob cooked pottage, and Esau came from the plain fainting. Now that's kind of interesting. The plain. Plain of Shinar, maybe? I don't know, the little interjecture I have there. According to the book of Jasher, it talks about he killed Nimrod. So maybe the plain he was coming from was the plain of Shinar or Babel, possibly. And Esau said to Jacob, let me taste of that red pottage, because I am fainting. Therefore his name was called Edom. So according to the Septuagint, he was named Edom because he was fainting. That's interesting. or because of the red pottage, red Edom. So it's kind of interesting. And Jacob said to Esau, "Sell me this day your birthright." And Esau said, "Behold, I am going to die." Huh. Kind of interesting if you take away the context of maybe what he was doing before he got there. It kind of sounds weird that he's just going to die. What is he dying from starvation? You know? So that's why I think it's important to possibly include the historical book of Jasher, what was happening around that time. He killed the emperor of the world. So, he killed the king of the world, the king of the human world, this emperor guy that everyone was idolizing over. So obviously he's going to die because his men are chasing him. I mean, if you take that context out of it, it doesn't really make sense. I'm going to die. What, die of starvation? I mean, he was only out for a whole, 12 hours maybe? I mean, I don't think he would be dying of starvation that quickly. I don't know. That's just a conjecture.
Nimrod's going to be the king of the world again.
Yeah. Yeah, so it says, Jacob said to him, "Swear to me this day," and he swore to him, and Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave bread to Esau and pottage of lentils, and he ate and drank, and he arose and departed. So Esau slighted his birthright. Now, kind of interesting if it should be a little bit stronger than that word slighted. I'm just kind of interested let me see, I should have, let's see the Strong's numbers here. Says, I kind of like the Apostolic Bible and Polyglot, which is another version of the Septuagint. It says Esau treated the rights of his firstborn as worthless. I kind of like that a little bit better.
My version, the Hallelujah Scriptures, says, "Thus Esau despised his birthright."
Yeah. I like despised or worthless better than just slighted. I don't know how how he got that translation there. I don't know if he probably mistranslated that word. So yeah, it says in the Apostolic Bible and Polyglot, it says, "And Jacob gave to Esau bread and stew of lentils, and he ate and drank, and rising up he set out, and Esau treated as worthless the rights of his firstborn," meaning he treated his birthright as worthless. So that makes a lot more sense. It's a lot closer to the Hallelujah Scriptures. So I actually like that. Okay, so that was the end of Genesis 25, and I think unless we have anything that kind of pointed out to anyone before we do a chapter of Ehud, anything
okay. What popped out to me, why did Esau say he was growing faint? What was that all about? What was the reason for him to say that? Because his dad was the one that was going faint, not Esau.
Yeah, the Septuagint actually literally says he's going to die. He actually said to him, what tube is my birthright, because I'm going to die. And so it was more or less Esau himself. He did something before he came. I would think he did something that would endanger him before he came back to Jacob, and that's why he's saying, what tube is my birthright? I'm going to die. So obviously there was something that he was endangering himself.
My thing is, why would he want his birthrights, and what would it be such a big thing? You're going to die, then let your brother have them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the way that's the way he felt. But his birthright's important. You'll see later on in Scripture, Yahuwah rebukes him for speaking. I think it's in the New Testament somewhere where it talks about how Esau so easily sold his birthright. So there's something about the birthright that's very important. It could have had a lot to do with the covenant that Yahuwah made with Jacob later and stuff like that. Because he even said, haven't you heard, I've said myself, I loved Jacob, I hated Esau. And I think part of hating Esau is what he did with his birthright. You know, it's kind of like we could kind of spiritualize the birthright as if the covenants of promise or even the new covenant, you know.
Another thing he did was he disobeyed his parents and married the Canaanite women.
Yeah,
Not just
once, and we haven't even gotten to that part yet. That's actually chapter 26, what Shoshana just mentioned. But yeah, he got so spiteful at Esau, he took it out at on his mother, because his mother, you know, was worried about Yaakov, not Esau. She was worried that, you know, he's running away from Esau. Esau's trying to kill him in the next chapter. You know, and you know, she's like, oh, let's see marry a Canaanite woman. Once Esau heard that, you know, he's like, oh, all right, I'll get back at them. Because he realized his mom was the one that pretty much put his brother up to it. I think he realized that. He realized his mom favored Yaakov over him and tricked his dad, and he probably took it personal. And, you know, he's like, all right, well, I know one way to get back at my mom. I'm going to marry a Canaanite woman. That's probably what was in his head.
probably was.
That, you know, because
Probably didn't like that.
Because it says right in the chapter, Rebecca favored Yaakov, not Esau. So I think he would have realized at some point, wow, you know, my mom doesn't really like me like she likes my brother. And there kind of might have been jealousy and, you know, going on. And that could cause, you know, a child to really spitefully not like his mother. You know, look at her like, you know, why do you favor my other brother over me? You know,
Even
and
as a grown man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's a grown man thinking like that. So, you know, it's but what's interesting too is Yahuwah is not rebuking for them for thinking that way. It's not like sin or anything. He's not like mad at you know, the dad for liking Esau over Jacob either. So, I mean, favoritism doesn't seem like Yahuwah is really rebuking them for it. So, you know, it's kind of weird that, you know, Esau is just like spiteful. He's just, you know, he's got that child pettiness, like that a child has, like, you know, just taking his anger out on whoever he can. So, you know, and but yeah, he ends up marrying a Canaanite woman. I think not just a Canaanite woman, I think Hittite or something. He marries a couple of like nations that he's not supposed to be married. That you'll see later on in the Torah. And then the Edomites, and later on in the book of Obadiah, you'll see that Yahuwah really, really, his wrath gets after Esau's descendants. But yeah, so Brother Dennis, Sister Sally, is there anything you would like to add that kind of jumped out at you maybe?
Very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on then to Eub. Oh, Sister Shoshana, you had your hand up.
And one thing, one thing that jumped out at me, and you even mentioned that Yitzhak prayed to Yahuwah for his wife Rebecca to become pregnant, and you said that's really good for a man to pray for his wife. And today you see, and I have experience from this. My husband forced me on birth control pills. He did not want me getting pregnant. And this is the male outlook today. Oh, no kids, no, just sex, and we have fun, but no kids, no. And thankfully there are men who don't think that way, but it's great when you find them.
That kind of reminds me of one of Judah's sons. In the book of Bereshit, we haven't gone there yet, but when Judah has children with a Canaanite woman, the person Judah, where we get the tribe of Judah from, one of his sons didn't want to carry the lineage of his brother that died. He got selfish and was like, no, I'm gonna, you know, sorry if there's any children, you know, listening in, but he didn't do what he was supposed to do, and he didn't bear seed in his brother's wife that he was supposed to take for a wife. And Yahuwah struck him down for it. And he was like, all right, you want to pull out? All right, boom.
Yeah, and
he
that was only for the firstborn. The firstborn would have been his brothers, but the rest would be his children. Who can understand?
spite. He's got like the same spirit as Esau. Spite, just selfish, jealousy, just, very evil type of spirit was working in him. And, part of the problem is his dad married white women. That's part of the problem too. So you had some.
That was it. I think that was it.
Yeah, So who knows? His sons could have been, part tainted. He could have had an evil spirit in them. You never know. That could have been part of it. The Canaanites, some of those Canaanites were actual Nephilim, like full 100% Nephilim. So, depending on what type of Canaanite woman he took, that's like a 50%, So that's, and Judah was a wicked man. Yahusha got saved. Yahusha's lineage only got saved because of Tamar. If you read that little story, that's the only reason his lineage got saved.
And at least he chose a Yisraelite woman, Tamar, for his son.
Mm-hmm.
But Yahuwah chose to put the seed through him, not his sons.
Yeah, because his sons messed up, if I'm not mistaken. Both of them that were supposed to take her for a wife did the same thing. And then I forget how the exact story goes, but I know one of his sons, like I said before, didn't want to do it, got struck down. And I think the other one might have got struck down too for some other reason.
Remember, Sheila was,
Okay.
he was afraid Sheila was going to die too. So he never gave her Sheila.
Oh, okay.
That's why she tricked him.
Yeah.
That's why she did what she did.
Yeah. So, but anyway, let's see how much time we got left. All right, we got 7 minutes left. We're going to do a part 2 and